gentlemen, the following presentation is brought to you by Mr. Main Event Brian Waters and the real Dwayne Allen. The Wrestling Realm, the show for the intelligent wrestling fans. Off the top rope, I dwell in the wrestling realm. Like Jake stay in the snake pit and Kane be in hell. Like Jake to stay in the graveyard, I'm punk in the shy. Call me Snooker cause I'm super and fly. You can hate all you want, but I'm flossing. The Miz said I'm awesome, and I'm upholding the law just like the big boss man. With Mr. Main Event Brian Waters, the real Dwayne Allen. Toss you over the border like Hernandez, Mandez, pressing the stands. It's the show for the intelligent wrestling fans. Hitman like Hawk, but I'm not from Calgary. I'm all about the bill, so let that gold dust shower me, empower me like Farouk and the nation. If you don't know your history, then you should change the station. But if you do, you can cruise to YouTube / the Wrestling Realm. Your lessons are stale. Say the same old lines, man, you destined to fail. Like the Shockmaster or the Wrestler Nails. I'm a heartbreak kid, and my bid to be champion is unmatched. Anybody step, I'm face planting them. With Mr. Main Event and the real Dwayne, you the sisters of love, we the powers of pain. You see we coming with a spear while you're monkey flipping. It's Brian Waters, Dwayne Allen, and your boy Trenton. And that's just how the story goes. That's just how the story goes. It's the Wrestling Realm, baby. The Wrestling Realm. Mr. Main Event Brian Waters, the real Dwayne Allen. And I'm your boy Trent CMG. You know what it is, baby. Let's go.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, on the Wrestling Realm with myself, the real Dwayne Allen's number 2 favorite WrestleMania of all time, joined, of course, by my wonderful co-host, Mr. Main Event himself, Brian Waters. Let's get this show on the road. Disclaimer, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't remember what I've said before in the previous WrestleManias, the way I look at WrestleManias are different from Mr. Main Event himself. That being said, why don't you check out my number 2 favorite WrestleMania. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, WrestleMania 12. And I know what you're thinking.
Never saw it coming.
I'm sure you didn't, but let me explain. Out of all the WrestleManias, he likes WrestleManias because of the entire card. But for me, it's different because there's certain matches that affected my life as a wrestling fan that have stuck with me throughout the years and have helped me develop my love for certain wrestlers and certain things of that nature. Shall we start from the beginning? We're not going to go through all these matches because, quite honestly, they're very, yeah. Let me say this, though.
One or two matches can make it your second favorite WrestleMania of all time?
Absolutely.
I'm proud. I like it.
Absolutely, because these matches, they meant that much. I felt like these matches were good enough to carry the entire card. As far as, you know, mainstream success of WrestleMania, all that good stuff, you know, whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. But what I am talking about is WrestleMania 12 embodied the 90s of wrestling. The 90s of wrestling, the early 90s, I'll say, from about, well, I guess 1992 to about 96. It was a very, what we call the cartoonish era where everything was a gimmick. And as gimmicky as it was, you know, growing up in this era, you still love this part of wrestling at some point in time. You know, the attitude era just took off completely. But at this point in time, you really loved wrestling, even in its cartoonish stage. A lot of stuff, you know, you could have probably did without, but you saw a lot of great matches on this time, a lot of great feuds, a lot of things could have been done differently, better, whatever you want to call it. But I felt like WrestleMania 12 symbolically embodied what that part of wrestling was to me.
Right.
With that being said, moving on to the card. The first match with Camp Cornette versus Yokozuna, Jake the Snake Roberts, and Ahmed Johnson. I actually enjoyed this match because one, I was a huge fan of Camp Cornette.
You were?
I was, because of the guys who were in it though.
At the time, as a fan, I hated him.
I'm sure you did.
You know,
yeah.
But looking back,
you didn't like any heels back in those days.
Right.
That was just your thing.
Except Owen Hart.
He was funny. Yeah, Owen Hart might have been it because that guy was funny. And that's Vader, Owen Hart, rest in peace. Oh, we love you. Vader, Owen Hart, and British Bulldog. Huge fan of all three of these guys.
Yokozuna.
Oh yeah, definitely. These guys, like, huge fan of Vader. Love Vader as a kid because I saw Vader a lot between WCW and him, and I mean in the WWF. Vader was one of those guys that, you know, he was always the action figure that I never got, that you know, I always wanted to get. Always a fan of Owen Hart. I love his feuds between Brett, you know, and stuff like that, and what he stood for. I love how he was always so mad all the time and never thought he was wrong. Even when he lost, he was sitting like, I didn't lose.
Is that because you're a younger brother?
That might have some. I think that's what it was. And I didn't know it.
It's a connection.
It really was. I think I identify with Owen Hart, but I think I didn't get it at the time. But as I get older, because I'm a sociologist, I can, you know, I can make these type of connections between things like that. Huge fan of the British Bulldog. I love Camp Cornette. I love the stable because they weren't always a tag team, but whenever they needed to be a tag team, they were.
That's, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, especially with British Bulldog and Owen Hart, these guys can stand on their own at any point in time. But at
I
any
just thought
point,
of something.
What's that?
Camp Cornette, Vader, Owen, Bulldog, me, you, Mike Knox.
We need somebody with a tennis racket, I swear. We gotta get somebody with a tennis racket.
You're Owen Hart. You're the youngest of the group.
Yeah, that was me.
Technically, I'm the Bulldog, and Mike is Vader.
That makes a lot of sense.
Shouts out to Mike Knox.
That really makes a lot of sense. I'm sitting like,
You know, we sitting up there at WXWC4 and we sitting, you know, conducting an interview, and you and him are just going in on every possible way that y'all could on anybody who just crosses the line, and I'm just sitting there cool, laid back like the Bulldog.
My bark is worse than my bite. Run the thing off of, what was it, was that Warzone when they had the quotes like that, or like WrestleMania, the arcade game, or something like that?
Yeah. That was Warzone.
Warzone, that's what I thought it was.
I need to find that game.
Warzone was terrible.
No, was it?
It was cool for what it was.
Wait, looking back, yeah, but yeah, it was. I played that game that Christmas because my mother said I couldn't get it because it was cussing in it.
No, man.
But when I opened up, she said I bought you Wheel of Fortune. I opened up and I saw this. I played that game all day.
I was pissed because when you won belts, they didn't show it. Now WrestleMania 2000, that's when stuff started getting hot.
Yeah. They didn't show it.
They didn't. All you came at this because you won the IC title.
Or Attitude, they didn't.
No, they didn't. You come out there, you go like this, front of the little Vector Titantron with the little sparkles going up, and that was it. I said, no belt.
But then
no
SmackDown,
belt.
They first.
You're not gonna give me a belt.
They introduced the belts.
No.
On PlayStation.
Yeah. Okay.
SmackDown. Right. I never was a 64 guy.
You messing up though.
You know.
Star Fox 64. You deserve Mario Kart. Get with it.
Mario Kart, you know, I like it on the Wii too.
See, this is what happens. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what 90s wrestling will do to you. You have these nostalgic moments where you go back in time and relive those particular moments that made you
cartoons.
You know, hey, it was the cartoonish era. What can I say? It fit the time.
It did.
I kind of miss my 64. I kept that's broke. But facing against Yokozuna, Jake the Snake Roberts, and Ahmed Johnson. Love Yokozuna. If anybody who watched the show, we know how we feel about Mr. Rodney Anawai, who has just recently been inducted to the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Definitely deserves it.
Definitely. Congratulations, family. You know, we love you guys and stuff like that. Jake Snake Roberts, really just had him on your show.
Oh, yeah.
Jake Snake Roberts, he was really good at what he did. You know what I mean? Jake the Snake had he had a way, a very, I consider a cerebral approach to his in-ring work. Because you never see Jake the Snake go outside of what he's known for doing. But he did everything so well in a way that it made whoever he was facing look that much better. And
the Shark, shouts out to Shark, Shawn Williams, he said it best. He said, I don't know what was more deadly, was his moves in the ring or his voice.
He had one of those voices that could really, it sort of caught your attention. It sort of froze you right.
The reason why I don't yell is when I lay that DDT on you, you're gonna be dead.
That's probably the best Jake the Snake Roberts impression I've ever seen in my entire life.
I'm gonna give myself a Barry Horowitz.
That's why he's the main event. You guys are mid-card. This is main event. Ahmed Johnson. That's what I'm talking about. When you have Yokozuna and Jake the Snake, you can keep a guy looking good because that's what he was able to look good because he was as crazy as his in-work probably was. He was probably one of the biggest stars of the '90s. He held the mid-card down.
He did, though.
Ahmed, when you think about the 90s wrestling, you cannot forget Ahmed Johnson. And the fact that, I don't know how they kept covering up what he was able to do, because I don't remember seeing a lot of singles. Like, I do, but I don't. A lot of singles matches, not big matches. Maybe superstar and stuff like that. But this was a good '90s match for me. Like I said, because
Okay.
WrestleMania 12 for me is all about that '90s feel. And like I said, everybody in this match embodied what I loved about the '90s.
Yep.
I always tell people between '95 and '96 is probably my favorite year of the pre-Attitude Era as far as the '90s.
Okay.
Moving into that in between era was like you saw the transition. Love that. I just loved it. Like it might have been not been the most popular time in the business, but I really enjoyed it. Not to mention Jake Snake Roberts. He was one of the best gimmicks coming out with with the snake, and then Yokozuna. His elaborate interest with the flag, and sometimes Mr. Fuji.
I love when Yokozuna first started talking.
Yeah, because that's something you never saw before.
How did we not know he wasn't Japanese?
I don't know, man. You a kid, you don't ask questions, man. They tell you stuff, you just go with it. Like stuff like that when you're a kid, you don't care.
Right.
I don't know about how it is today, because maybe kids are smarter now, but I don't. Like you wasn't concerned. I swore he was drafted from Japan. Dude was Simone the entire time. Anyway, just sitting there like we all both sitting like this. If this is a TV show, we would have more like this, and this would have been a dream sequence. And that's what I'm saying.
Yep. Moving on.
Steve Austin versus Savio Vega. Love this match because you saw a young and aggressive Stone Cold Steve Austin. This is around the time where I love Stone Cold. I don't want to say the most, but I really enjoy who he was because he was so over. No one can be.
This is that transition from Stone Cold. I mean, from Ringmaster to Stone Cold.
This is where you saw the beginning of it. You know what I mean? Like you notice like it's even his wrestling skill. You saw his style start to change. He went from a more fluid technical wrestler to a more smash mouth wrestler, and I think he did it more as the character came along when he was trying to figure out who this Stone Cold character, not necessarily naming it to him Stone Cold, but you saw it coming somewhere. It was coming from somewhere, and you got a chance to see the last of what you knew as Stunning Steve, but then you also got to saw the prelude to what we all knew and loved was as Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yep, great stuff. I remember being younger, watching Steve Austin on Live Wire. Him and Savio Vega go at it all the time. You know, even the Texas Strap match they had at one point.
That was a good match.
I enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? And then of course you got DiBiase in the mix, but I guess once he left for WCW, naturally we all know the story how they let Stone Cold loose. But like I said, a lot of these things are symbolic to me. You know what I mean?
It was good that Stone Cold was able to break loose because you have somebody strong like DiBiase who had a corporation at one point, and then to break away from him, it was good for Austin not to get lost.
Right. Moving on to the third match. I said we wasn't going to go through the entire card, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was, so I decided to change my mind.
It was your show. You could do that. I'm sitting here thinking like, okay.
I thought about it. I say it threw me off the body down this match. The dark match threw me off when I saw that.
That was when Sunny showed her assets to help them capture the title.
I've seen Sable, so like, no offense, I don't remember anything about Sunny.
Ooh, pipe bomb.
I'm just saying.
I don't know. That's a debatable.
No, it's not debatable. It is not debatable.
Sunny still looks good.
I never said this ain't about looking good.
Sable.
I don't remember nothing Sunny did because I remember Sable.
I feel you. That's a different conversation for a different day, different show.
You about to get us both in trouble.
Nah.
Yeah, see.
Because I'm shutting up.
Exactly. Anyway, we'll try to pass it to me. The next match.
My favorite match of the night.
Yeah. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to them. The Ultimate Warrior versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley. This is the return, wasn't it? This is when Vince brought him back 3 times. he just drew. He was horrible, but he drew, so the kids loved him. Yep. Like
how many people had face paint?
He was one. He's
You wanted to paint your face at one point because of
I did paint my face one time, man. I took finger paints and went to town. I got so much trouble for it, but I had 15 minutes of Warrior face. I had my 15 minutes of Warrior face. Huge Ultimate Warrior fan, not so much because of I was like any other kid.
That's what we were supposed to be, fans.
And that's the whole point, though. And and he was so colorful. He was vibrant. He come out there. He was wild. You never saw nothing like that before, especially not knowing the time.
And I hated Triple H.
Hated his guts.
And Sable made her debut.
Love Triple H for what he was in the ring. I love early Triple H. I do like
Of course, but just gimmick wise and as a fan.
He was the worst.
Oh, he was a British snob who thought he was better than everybody. That's why I was so happy when the Godwin slopped him because he just such a blue blood.
He was terrible. Not to mention, this is you eventually you will start to see feud between him and Mark Merrill, which was pretty good. in the transition of Sable moving on.